Are you a kind person? Do you enjoy making other people happy, making other people's lives better? Do you practice random acts of kindness? I travel a lot. And traveling is not easy. You're in foreign countries, and I only go to poor countries. That's where I have projects going to help people lift themselves out of poverty and make a better life. And well, life is not easy, and you appreciate any kind of kindness when you're there. I'd like to share with you a couple of examples of kindness that have happened to me on my journeys, on my travels. And maybe some of the ways these people show me kindness will inspire you to want to do more kind acts in your own life. My first really big trip was to Ghana, Africa. This traveling to Africa was a big deal. Crazy number of hours on the plane. And then when I land, I've got a 14-hour drive from the capital city where the airport is to the remote villages where I have to go. Make a long story short, my knees constantly being in a sitting position and jammed in tight were killing me. In fact, it was so bad, I was like limping everywhere. And I was like, oh man, it's my biggest adventure and I feel like I can hardly walk. Every step was painful. There was a young guy named Anthony. We have the same name. He was studying to be a priest. He was a friend of the priest who hosted me. And he knew I was in pain. And then one day he said, come with me. And we sat down and he had some special herbs or oils or stuff that they use for healing in there in Africa. And he was just like massaging my kneecap and trying all these different things to make it feel better. And it didn't really help physically, but it was such a difficult trip, and his kindness really helped. In Albania, I loved being with people in the country where my ancestors came from, and the energy was just amazing. And geez, while I was there, it hit me really hard that I've never gotten the chance to be a dad. It's probably the biggest pain in my life. The worst day of the year is Father's Day. I wanted to be a father so bad. I'd be a great father too. But just the way my life has flowed, and it just didn't happen. And this kid, it was like I was his dad. I was his buddy. He just latched himself onto me the whole time. We had an expedition. We had an outing with Mother Teresa's sisters. And he was like, kind of like the way a kid would want to be with their dad, and his affection and his kindness really softened my feeling of like missing something in my life. In Bolivia, if you ever get to go to Cochabamba, Bolivia, you must not miss the Urcupina parade. It's in the middle of August, and it's the most unbelievable parade you can imagine. It goes on forever, and it's just so many amazing costumes and bands, and the energy is just incredible. We're sitting in the bleachers watching this parade, and this kid starts handing me peanuts. And what happened was that they were the kind in the shell. It wasn't like a jar of peanuts where the shell's already taken off. He had a bag of peanuts, and he was just peeling them himself and then handing them to me. He didn't even know me. I didn't know him. And then he gave me, his family was there with him, and they had a jug of Coke, and he poured me a cup of soda, and he was just so kind in that difficult, it was a wonderful parade, and it was a great trip. But traveling, like I said, can be really tough, especially if you don't speak the language. And love is the language that we all speak. I learned that with the Albanian kids. They knew hardly any English, and all the kids in South American countries that I go to, including this kid here, but the kindness touched my heart and was the highlight of the trip for me. And it's always the highlight of someone's life when someone who does something for you didn't have to. It's the form of loving that can make the biggest difference, the kindness. So I want to encourage you to be somebody who practices random acts of kindness. Look to see what is the goodness you can do in any situation. And go out there and rock the planet. We don't live right on this planet, but we definitely need more love and definitely more kindness in a world that's become so ice cold and people are so uncivil to each other. You can do it, okay?